Now, Governor Ducey says we are heading in the right direction in our state, and the light at the end of the tunnel is now growing brighter. But when our investigative team looks at Arizona's coronavirus numbers, they see a completely different picture.
And tonight we are asking if our state leaders are giving us the straight story. Here's our chief investigative reporter, Morgan Lowe.
If you take a look at this chart, you can possibly see the beginning of a downward trend.
It was not what you would call a convincing argument, but Governor Doug Ducey is trying to make the case that lifting restrictions has not adversely affected public health.
You see the 5 straight weeks of a decrease in terms of positivity, meaning the contraction of people that have COVID-19.
But not everybody is abiding by social distancing and other best practices. Bars were packed in Scottsdale last weekend, and fewer people appear to be wearing masks in public. And this is what we're seeing in the data the state is collecting. The number of positive or suspected COVID patients going to emergency rooms is at an all-time high. So is the number of COVID patients in our hospitals and the number in our ICUs. But that's not what we heard in today's news conference.
Are you cherry picking the data?
Which led to some fiery exchanges between reporters.
Your information is wrong and your question is misleading.
And the governor. And finally, an admission by the state's top doctor that things may not be looking so good after all.
And yes, over the last 2 days, we have seen an increase in the number of COVID-related inpatients, emergency room visits. We will continue to monitor it because it's self-reported a day or two. That may be a reporting issue. What we're going to be looking for is trends in that data.
So at the end there, Dr. Kara Chris seemed to be making the argument that maybe the figures that hospitals are reporting, maybe those figures are wrong. Maybe we aren't seeing this spike over the last few days, but there's no indication at this point that the data that hospitals have been reporting has been wrong. Back to you guys.
Okay, Morgan, that graph that you showed us, it had a clear upward trend. How can they just ignore that?
Yeah, well, if it keeps going up, they're not going to be able to ignore it. Now, they did make the point, and the data does show that our hospitals do have extra capacity to be able to successfully absorb any increase that we might see. But you remember 2 weeks ago, Governor Ducey made the decision to lift these restrictions on our businesses, and now it does appear that we are seeing the beginnings of a distinctively and decidedly upward trend in people showing up at the hospital with coronavirus or coronavirus symptoms.
We'll be continuing to watch it and keep everyone updated. Morgan Lowe, thank you.